Myself, 5 minutes for questions. Mr. Watterson, Chicago is home to Midway Airport, Southwest's second largest base of operations, and what happened over Christmas was appalling. We've heard many of these stories already today, and I'm going to add to them because it's important to keep telling these stories because these are individual human beings who were significantly affected. One Chicagoan who was scheduled to fly with 2 young children to see their grandparents checked their coats and the children's car seats, only to be told their flight was canceled, and because of a staffing shortage, there was no one who could return those essential items to them. Imagine going without coats in Chicago in December. It's dangerous, and so is putting children, small children, in a car without a car seat. It's actually illegal. I don't know what a family like this was supposed to do, or how they were even able to get out of the airport and home safely. Another Southwest customer with stage 4 cancer got stuck in Chicago while trying to fly home for treatment. And the thing that I find so shocking is that while all these delays and cancellations were happening and passengers were calling Southwest for help, it took hours to reach a live person, if they ever reached a live person at all. Mr. Watterson, will Southwest guarantee that passengers on canceled flights will be able to reach a live person within a reasonable amount of time when they call Southwest for help? Just say yes or no. It's a simple question.
Thank you, Senator. In a normal disruption, we aim for a 3 to 9 minute average speed of answer, and that's how we fund our union-represented call centers.
What is acceptable to you in terms of delay when it's not a normal disruption? 3 days?
Unfortunately, Senator, it was a disservice to all your constituents that we had during that period of time. Despite having all of our people that were available, working and on overtimes, there was no amount of people we could have put in place to handle all the calls at that time because of the scale of the disruption. Okay,
so you won't guarantee that in a canceled flight, especially in an incident like that anybody will be able to reach a live person at Southwest. That's what you're telling me.
Senator, in a day like today or an analogous day, yes, we will be able to. In an exact repeat of that situation, I apologize, we can't staff. There's no way we could staff that high.
Okay. So maybe they need to come to a senator and we'll call a hearing and then we'll hand you pieces of paper with names and phone numbers on them. That's how people will get reached. I mean, there are people still waiting to hear from Southwest to reach a live person, and it's been a month.
I'm deeply sorry, Senator. Our average speed of answer yesterday was 2 minutes, and so we've definitely staffed. And to the extent people are not getting through, I deeply apologize. And definitely, please hand me the piece of paper, and I'll follow up.
For someone with a disability, such as a visual impairment, the inability to reach someone by phone at Southwest is especially frustrating. Not all websites and mobile apps are easily accessible for persons with disabilities, despite existing guidelines and industry best practices, and also law, the ADA. Mr. Watterson, when was the last time Southwest reviewed its website and smartphone app to ensure that it is fully accessible for passengers with disabilities?
Senator, thank you for the question. I'm unsure of the exact time that we did that last review. I will say that our vice president over call centers is visually impaired, and that's a passion point for him.
Okay, well, I want to know when the last time that you reviewed was. If you could just get back to me, that would
Yes, ma'am, I will.
Thank you. Ms. Pinkerton, I'm working on legislation to require the Department of Transportation to audit air carrier website accessibility. Given A4A's recent accessibility efforts, am I safe to presume that I can count on your organization's support for establishing such a requirement?
I'm absolutely happy to work with you on that, Senator Baldwin. I heard you loud and clear in your previous statements. Especially about the wheelchair damage. And as you probably are aware, our CEOs recently recommitted to doing better on accessibility issues. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it includes having an advisory committee at each airline, and the disability community is part of that to hear those concerns. We've also committed to retraining all of our frontline employees and improving that training. And we've also committed to, thirdly, working with the disability community, identifying barriers in planes, and studying and trying to develop standards to provide better access. So I just want you to know this has taken on a new level of importance at our organization and our CEOs. We're committed to doing better.
Okay. Well, I look forward to working with you on it. For my final question, what is particularly frustrating about this meltdown is that Captain Murray and others literally warned that Southwest was one bad storm away from suffering serious disruption. Clearly, Southwest failed to heed the warnings of its frontline personnel. And I just have to say that we need to be reminded that the air crews are responsible for people's lives. This is just about lost luggage. These are professionals who commit every day to keeping their passengers safe and to making, not just for getting people from one place to another, but literally to safeguard their lives. And I think we often forget the role that air crew members play. Mr. Watterson, what specific steps is Southwest implementing over the course of this year to earn back the trust of your flight crews, your gate agents, and all the other frontline personnel who were thrown into the breach by this collapse that many of your own personnel predicted could happen at the very next instance of significantly bad weather, and then it did? What are you doing to earn back the trust of your crews and personnel?
Thank you, Senator. That's a very important point for us to do. And so within our lessons learned work, we look at systemic issues we face here. We're involving our union leaders, both in the input stage right now of what their opinions of what went wrong. We had a session with both our flight attendant and pilot unions, as well as our other frontline workforces. And we committed to them that once we have a comprehensive view of what went wrong, we will then share the recommendations out of that and work with them on developing the details of that. Because I think involving them in the work to make sure this doesn't happen again is the best way to show engagement with them and to make sure it doesn't happen again.
I'm going to ask you a question for the record, and I want you to respond to me in writing. Please explain the specific benchmarks Southwest must hit in the coming months and years to fulfill your promise that this will never happen again, and make sure to address how the company will transparently measure progress and hold executives accountable for missing those benchmarks.
Thank you, Senator. Yes, sir.
Thank you. I now recognize my colleague from Missouri.